Here's my interview with the mighty Brian Regan. Enjoy. Well, thanks, Brian. I appreciate you.
Thank you
taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you. I've always appreciated your support over the years.
Aw.
It always means a lot to me. Seriously. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no sweat.
We all just
appreciation.
There's a lot of appreciation in this room. Let me set the stage. We are where are we? We're in Bergen County, New Jersey. This is minutes after your first show of the night.
Uh-huh.
So first of all, thank you for taking the time. I know you could probably be relaxing or do, what do you usually do between shows?
Kids don't listen, right? I do a lot of cocaine.
Okay.
I do a lot of cocaine drugs.
Yeah.
Show you how much I know about
about drugs.
I do cocaine drugs.
Yeah, I hear they're good.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite drugs is cocaine drugs. No. Now, if there are kids listening, that was an off-the-wall joke. I don't do cocaine drugs. I do the exact opposite, not cocaine drugs. All right. Awkward start to your interview.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. That's fine. Drug talk is good. I've been trying to do I was never a big drug person, Brian. But now that I have 2 children, you have children yourself.
Yes.
I've been really thinking about not doing drugs, but trying to become a better drinker.
Oh, that's a good goal.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. A better drinker.
A better drinker. Like a person that knows somebody who can do it economically and effectively. I
like when people they clearly have a problem with drinking, but they don't realize to the degree, and their solutions, they're not even close to the proper solution. I've decided once I do 5 shots of tequila, then that has to be it. I will. That's all I allow myself is a 6-pack of beer and 5 shots, and then that's it. For a weekday, weekends. It's like a 12-pack and 8 shots, but then I know that's it. Like no more,
Well, I mean, it's at least they set some sort of parameter.
Sure, I guess that's better than just complete caution to the wind, right?
But seriously, what would you be doing now?
Well, this is a little unusual that we have 2 shows. It's a 1-show deal. So I get here, I just kind of hang out. I have my little, you can see right here, my little paper with my rough ideas, and I just go over that. Little 1-word tickler reminder kind of things, you know. I like to do that and hit the stage and just hopefully, try to hit a couple of things that might not work. And then afterwards, a lot of times we're out really quickly. Like this weekend, we're actually staying in Philadelphia. So, sometimes after shows, it's a real quick, hop on the bus thing and back to the hotel.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I like that about your shows. I saw you in March when I was in Grand Rapids for the Gilda's Laugh Fest. Ah. So I saw that show, and I saw this show, which really, as far as seeing a headlining comic, are really not too far apart. And unless my memory's really bad, the shows were pretty different. They were pretty different.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I mean, sometimes, if it's a charity thing, I might put a little bit more of a lot of older stuff mixed with newer stuff. Whereas if I'm just doing a show that I know is in front of people who know me, I try to do mostly the newer stuff. I like to do stuff from the last couple of years. That's the main body of my show. I might sneak and do a few older bits if I'm working on them, or you need them as a transition or something. But here's my least favorite heckle in my life, in my career. I was on stage, and what I try to do is once something is on a CD or a DVD or something like that, then I try to move away from it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, but you can't do it on a dime.
Right.
So I'm doing a show. I don't know where I was. I'm doing a show, and I had done about a half hour of stuff that I knew was not on anything. It wasn't like on a CD or a DVD.
Yeah.
But then I thought, okay, I need an old bit to transition from one thing into the next. So I do the old bit, and a guy in the back yells, "Heard it!"
Oh, God.
Man, oh man. Are we allowed to strangle people in this community? Can I strangle him and get off? I mean, geez, buddy. What do I got to do for you?
How long was that? Was that somewhat recent?
About a year ago.
Wow.
You know?
What a jerk.
You can't please everybody.
What an idiot.
Yeah.
And as a comic, I've talked to a few of you guys, you comics. As a comic, you will then fixate on that person for the rest of the show.
Yeah, that's, and I'm not above that. I can, well, sometimes I can be above it, sometimes I can't. You know, it used to be like in a comedy club or something like that. You can see more people up front, and the one person that's not smiling or laughing, that's the one you zone in.
Right, of course.
But I've learned, like in these kind of venues here, if I see like somebody with that kind of vibe, I just immediately go, look over on top. Just let this guy go.
Right.
Because I think I got to go for the majority, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a weird personality trait that we all have. And
now, I mean, you've been doing this for a few years now, where you'll finish your main set and you'll come back and you'll do some older material. And I mean, it's very much like a musician, where you come out and you start talking, and then as soon as people, and it just happened a few minutes ago, as soon as people hear the first few words of a joke, you get a short applause break. It's kind of like, you know, when like when a band, you know, starts, I don't know, they strum the first few chords of a song and it doesn't hit right away, and then everybody starts going nuts. It's like you're bringing out songs.
Believe me, it's incredibly flattering, and it feels great to know that, you know, I know I do it as a bit sometimes, where I say comedy's supposed to have a surprise. I mean, that's kind of the nature of comedy, is there's supposed to be a surprise. But for whatever reason, people are okay with me redoing these things that clearly they know the ending to. I scratch my head wondering why that's okay with them, but I'm all right with it, man. It's like, all right, I can do a little 5 to 10 minute encore.
Yeah.
These people have heard it before, but they're fine hearing it again. But I've tried to be careful to make that just at the very end and not the body of the show. If somebody shouts out in the main part of my show, as kindly as possible, I try to make it clear that I don't want to just like be a monkey boy up here, you know?
Right. And that's captured in one of your hour specials, when I forgot which one it was now. But it was one of the Comedy Central ones, the about the sun.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, you know, we tape 2 shows, and you take the best of, you know, whatever for the special.
Sure.
And I was sitting with the editor, and at that moment when I think it was like a kid like yells out, or a young guy or something like that yells out, I was just prepared to go, all right, we need to drop this and take the tape from the other show. And then the guy looked at me, and he wasn't that familiar with my stuff, and he goes, so what do you think? And I'm like, well, we got to drop this. You know?
Right.
And he's like, I don't know. It sounded pretty good. And I went, okay. Well, let me listen to it again. And I was like, all right, let's keep it, man. So it's kind of fun. You're the editor.
Yeah, it's great to get that. I mean, even in comedy specials, you know, you want them to be as polished and tight as possible, and you want, you know, because people are watching on television, or they're spending, you know, a few bucks on it. You want it to be polished, but I think people really do appreciate that organic feel that you only really get when you're in the crowd. So you give the audience at home a taste of that. And actually, it happened again on the album, on All By Myself, didn't it? When the whole vampire, when you started...
Oh, yeah. Somebody yelled out on that, too. So,
so it's like a thing now. Now you have to do it.
One moment, you know, if it works. But, you know, you don't want to go too far and have people think, they want us yelling.
Right. It's a slippery slope.
Very, very much so, you know.
Yeah, you can't give them too much rope.
You know, you talk about the audience reaction stuff. Years ago, I did a thing on Showtime, and it was like a half-hour special. And usually, like, when they edit it together, if they get an audience reaction shot, you try to find somebody who's laughing,
right?
You know, who's somewhat engaged or amused. And I don't know why. I think it was the Showtime thing. They cut away, and it was just this woman just looking at me with this dumbfounded look. And her mouth was just like, it was like, what in the hell are you talking about? And I'm like, why did they include this, you know? So now I try to help edit if I can.
Yeah.
Can you show some people who like me? Was there anybody there that liked me? Can we show them?
Right. You would think that would be a given,
Yeah.
but now you have to make sure they include some of that.
I did a corporate show one time. This just made me think of it. And they had video screens, big giant video screens. And it was this big giant event. There was like 3,000 or 4,000 people in this big giant ballroom. So they had video screens, which can be helpful because people can like.
Sure.
But they had a guy who I don't think he knew anything about comedy. He was like, I didn't realize there were different cameras taking video of different things.
Right.
So the guy thought the guy started showing audience shots, you know, and at first, but I can't see what's behind me. I don't know what he's cutting to.
Right.
So I'm in the middle of my bit, and then I hear, yay! And I'm like, that has nothing to do with my joke. And I look back, and I see, they got a video of the CEO or something. So I'm like, who's that? You know, so I got to play off that.
Right.
And then the guy, I'm just doing a bit, and at the setup, people start howling, and I'm like, well, that's not right. And I look back, and the guy had just zoomed in on an old Japanese businessman sleeping at his table. What are you, you're killing me. You're killing me here, man. So I'm like, hey, look, he doesn't like my show. Is there anybody else who doesn't like me? You show everybody who doesn't like me, and then I can never possibly get out of this hole.
That's an interesting commentary on people who there's people who get comedy culture a little bit, and then there's people who really think that you flew in and got on stage and just started talking about whatever. I mean, that guy shooting, I mean, that must have, because obviously, you know, I don't think it didn't sound like he's doing anything maliciously, but he literally thinks
funny.
You're like a clown.
Right. And I'll just show things, and this guy will just comment on whatever
I'll
throw
spice
up
it
there.
up. Maybe he's a very famous video producer now.
Yes.
You never know.
Could be.
So I mentioned the album briefly, All by Myself.
Thank you.
That you self-released, and it's interesting. You self-released it, but kind of under the radar. It wasn't like a big stink. And then like a year later or a year and a half later, Louis C.K. self-released his stuff, and now everybody's self-releasing stuff. But I feel like you were the guy that really did it first, and I think it's amazing that people are doing it now.
I mean, I wouldn't even try to take anything away from Louis C.K. He's brilliant. He's a genius, and I think what he did was different in that I think it was like a live thing that you could kind of watch once or something like that. On his
well, you could. It was a video. You could download it or stream it, and it was a little different. Yours was an album exclusively.
So anyway, but there's pros and cons to releasing things by yourself.
Yeah.
If you have a following, then releasing it by yourself is cool because you have a following that would already knows your work and like, I might want to check this out. But like if you're trying to get a following, it's harder, I think, to get people to tune in because they don't know who you are yet.
Yeah.
So that's why, I think it's always a trade-off. It's like you're going to make more money if you self-release, if you do have a following.
Right.
But if you don't have a following yet, maybe it's better to try to get on Comedy Central or something like that.
Yeah.
And just get eyeballs on it and make your money later.
Sure.
I don't know.
And so
about business.
Is that
trying to pretend like I I know something.
Is that how you're going to?
I go back and forth.
Yeah.
Like I also self-released a DVD a number of years ago called I Walked on the Moon.
Right.
So my first thing was CD through Uproar Productions.
Right.
And then I self-released a DVD. And then the next two specials were Comedy Central specials.
Yep.
Which they released as DVDs, hour specials.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one was the one I self-released.
Right.
But I would think the next one that I would probably want to, again, get it out to the people. You know what I mean? Like
Got it.
Something on a network or something like that.
And how close are you to doing that?
I hope soon. I mean, once I get like a new hour stuff that I know isn't on anything, I want to record it. I start getting antsy, man. I want to feel like once I get something kind of tight and I get an hour that's feeling kind of tight, I want to record it so it's there. You know what I mean? It's okay. That's that comedy. I did that. I'm proud of it. It's still there if anybody wants to watch it.
Right.
But then I can start working on new stuff.
Right.
I get bored, man, just doing the same thing over and over again. You know, I need to move on. It feels funnier to be on stage, and I like that feeling of virgin snow, running in virgin snow, and wow, these are brand new footprints. You know, it's like I don't know if there's a laugh here or not. If you know too much that there's a laugh, I start getting. I don't know. It feels like too complacent.
Yeah. Like you're kind of watching yourself do your act.
Yeah, exactly. You're just performing it, and you're not. It feels less like comedy and more like a performance.
Right.
And I want it to be a little of both, you know. I like not knowing what's going to happen between the cracks and the bits, and go, all right, where am I going with this? Where am I going with that? And I like that scary feeling on stage,
yeah,
not knowing where a laugh is.
Yeah. And I think it's fun for the audience as well to see you experiment and to see you, if something falls flat a little bit, to see you work your way out of it. And a lot of times, from what I've noticed, sometimes, you working your way out, of a hole, if you even want to call it a hole, gets a really big laugh.
Well, it's like we have the ultimate luxury of being comedians that. It's one of the few occupations where you can mess up and then just make fun of the fact that you messed up, and then you're okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, take advantage of that. Brain surgeons can't do that. I got the wrong side of his head. You believe that? I'm supposed the line's over here. I got the wrong side. Oh, well, you can't like laugh your way out of certain other occupations. But I think, too, if you do too many foul balls, then the audience starts going, wait a second, what's going on with this guy? So I think they'll give you a handful of foul balls, but then for the most part you want to be giving them some pretty solid laughs.
Yeah. You want some jokes.
Yeah.
Some tried and true jokes.
A lot of bookending going on up there. Here's the new thing, and I put the strong thing in the front and the strong thing on the other side.
That's right.
So if people knew, they could go, we could go buy a soft drink. This is the thing in the middle between the good stuff. So that was good. Now we go get a sarsaparilla, and then he does something that we probably won't like. We come back with our cold sarsaparilla, and it's the end of the bookend. It's the other side of the bookend.
Have you been doing a lot of shows in the Wild Wild West?
I'm doing. There's not a lot of comedians that do a saloon tour. I'm doing all the best comedy saloons out there. Rip Roaring Shoot 'em Up comedy this weekend with Brian Regan. Yeah,
I like it. I would go to that.
Sure. Why not?
10-gallon hats for everybody. Can you a take luck 10-gallon hat?
I performed years ago when I was out on the road, and it was my first time in Texas. Did a couple shows in Houston, then I did a show in College Station, and then the last show of the run was in Lubbock, Texas. Never been up there. Walked in the comedy club, and they had a sign, out front is like a bar area. Then they had a sign where you go into the showroom, and it said, "Please take off your hats," and it had a picture of like a cowboy hat. Please take off your hats, as a respect to the performers. I'm like, wow, they got to tell people to take off their cowboy hats. This is weird. So people coming in they literally had 10-gallon hats. They would come in, oh, well, that sign says we should take these off during the show. So people behind us could see.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a logistical thing.
I think it was that.
Okay.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
10-gallon hats. Take off your hats.
I don't know if it was actually 10 gallons. I didn't grab a hat and
well, they probably would have
measuring cup.
They probably would have murdered you for touching their hats.
Right. And then
they're savages in Texas.
This interview wouldn't be happening. Whatever happened to Brian Regan? Oh, he took a hat off a cowboy. Say no more. Yeah, he took a hat off a cowboy in Lubbock, Texas. So he doesn't perform anymore. No one knows where he is now.
So you're touring. You just announced. We put it on the site on Laughspin.com. So if you're listening to this and you want to know, you're in the middle of your first leg of this tour. Is that accurate? Or is this
it's a never-ending...
It's just never-ending, Brian.
Tour. But
there's a second.
We realized that if we just break the tour into half a year segments and announce, okay, the next half of 13 is now available, and just do it all at once, as opposed to just rolling them out one at a time. That way you can do a little media thing, you can do some radios, you can do some print, and just have something to talk about and say, all right, the whole second half of 2013 is out. And then, 5 months down the road, then I'll announce the start of 2014.
Right.
And it seems to be working pretty good.
Yeah. It seems you seem to be doing okay, Brian.
Wow.
I think you've got a future ahead of you. This comedy game.
Keep trying.
So how often? Where do you live in Vegas?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you have 2 children?
2 children. 14-year-old boy.
Oh my God.
9-year-old girl.
Oh my God.
You said you have 2.
I have 2. I have we have a 4-year-old. He's like 4.5, and then I have another guy who is just about 2. So
all right.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
It's intense.
I was on stage one time, and I was going into some kid stuff, and there's a guy in the front. I said, "You have kids?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "How many?" He goes, 5 or 6. What kind of answer is that? 5 or 6 kids. You should count them. Next time you're having a family dinner, count them, and then you'll know next time somebody asks. You won't have to like ballpark it.
Mm-hmm. That's hysterical. That's a guy who I think was just trying to relax and forget about stuff for a while, and you forced him back into reality.
We had to think.
He's like, I don't know, get 5 or 6. Just
I don't know. Do your bit.
Do some stuff. Come on.
You talk. Clearly, I don't want to, and I can't.
So 14 and what?
9.
Oh my God.
14-year-old boy, 9-year-old girl. Yeah,
so
it's great. I love it.
Is the 14-year-old and the 9-year-old are they into comedy at all?
They're both very funny themselves. They make me laugh. And they travel with me quite a bit. They're not with me on this run. They hang out, backstage. They do their homework while I'm performing. Once a weekend, I let them watch 5 minutes of my show. I don't want them to watch my whole show every night and start rolling their eyes at, do we got to listen to this again? So I try to.
Interesting.
It's like they can watch 5 minutes. We have a nanny that travels, and she'll like set them, in their little chairs, and it feels great, to know that. I want them. It's more important that, I don't know. It's like I want them to like what I do, and I don't want them to be bored with it, Right. One of my best experiences ever on stage was one of the first times my boy saw me. It was an outdoor kind of deal, and I was on stage, and I looked back, and he was sitting like where I could see him, and he was like laughing, like he was like, and I wanted to stop the show and go, folks, I could care less about the rest of you. That boy thinks I'm funny, man. It was really something else.
That's great. So that's great that they get to travel, and you got the bus situation, right?
Yep.
So that's good.
Pretty good.
That's very good. Do they watch other comedians? Are they big like Comedy Central fans, or is it just kind of?
No, we don't really. I don't really like when I'm done with what I do, and I got done with a weekend or something like that. I don't like to live the comedy thing. I take that hat off, and like even when they're with me during the day, we're doing touristy stuff.
Sure.
And, we were in Seattle about a month ago, and there was an art museum right near our hotel. So we went to this art museum, and it had like paintings from 16th century artists and stuff like that. Just beautiful art. And then and then we hopped in a cab, and then we went to one of those duck tours.
Yeah.
Where they give you the duck whistles. I'm like, talk about a contrast. I mean, we just went. It's like a diver coming up too quick, and it gets the bends or whatever. It's like this was just a cultural shock from these beautiful paintings, and now we're quack, quack, quack. Yep, it all happened in the same day, kids. There's a lot of extremes in this world.
That's beautiful, and they'll always remember those things.
Yeah, it was fun, man.
That's good. So what's next for Brian Regan?
I don't know. I mean, I'm the stand-up thing. I will probably do that for a long time. You know, if I can get a network interested in letting me do a TV thing, I would love to do that. But I'm kind of at a point where I'd want it to be what I want it to be. You know what I mean? And if, you know, a lot of times these networks have, you know, they got their hands in the creative stuff, and that's fine. That's their world. They can do what they want. But, you know, if I'm not going to get an opportunity to kind of do what I want, then I don't really need it.
Right.
You know what I mean, I love doing this. I like the autonomy of being a comedian.
Yeah,
it would be very hard for me to give that up at this point.
Yeah, you'd have to listen to a bunch of people.
I don't want to be around others.
I'm with you.
This world would be a great place if it weren't for others. Others is the problem.
I agree with you. When you're on stage and you say you have problems talking to people, and you know you kind of you point out the fact that sounds strange since you're talking to, you know, 1,000 people. I totally get that. I don't want to hang out with people. You know, I'm not saying you're antisocial or you're like me.
No, it's true. There's certain comfort zones that all human beings have, and some you would think naturally people would be small. The smaller the group, the more comfortable they would be, but that's not always necessarily the case.
Yeah.
You know, I can stand in front of, you know, a lot of people in a showroom, and I feel like I'm more in control and that I can handle that situation. Years ago, Johnny Carson, I remember being interviewed, and he said that he's much more comfortable hosting his show than he was going to a party. Because he said that he had no control at the party. Everybody's doing their thing, and I remember at the time I was just getting into comedy thinking, how weird is that? And then I realized, wow, I guess that is kind of interesting, you know? And I, not that I'm trying to compare myself to Johnny Carson, but I get the...
Why are you comparing yourself to Johnny Carson? Don't you feel that's a little...
And George Washington and I, we have some similar traits. And me and Abe Lincoln, we both feel the same way about a lot of things. Yeah. Now I should pick somebody who's really, really stupid and bad and compare myself to them, and then I can bring it back down, you know. But I don't want to say anybody.
Right.
I don't want anybody's feelings. So we'll just let that go.
Donald Trump?
I'm not saying anything negative about anybody. He's a good man with a good heart.
I think you just fear intimacy. Let's psychoanalyze you.
Well,
no, you don't.
No. I mean, with you know, a significant other, I don't. But I mean, like, there's certain like small groups. You know, that thing I did tonight. It's kind of new, and that's the. I'm realizing more and more that people less often ask, "What do you think?"
Mm-hmm.
And I love conversations when everybody's just. I like to talk about politics. I like to talk about religion. I like to talk about very controversial things, but only around people who kind of have the same vibe, like, we're all just trying to figure this out.
Right.
What do you think? What do you think? Really? You believe in God? You don't? Tell me why you do or why you don't.
Right.
But when somebody's not interested in hearing what you have to say, then it's like, well, this isn't fun.
Yeah.
You know, so I tend to gravitate away from people who don't throw the what do you think into their conversation.
Sure. I think that's normal.
There's a lot of people like that, man. A lot of people me, my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. Now you leave. What was this all about? Why are we all together? To listen to you? You know, so.
Yeah.
It's fun to be able to do something like that on stage and go, other people feel this way. It's a very comforting feeling. It's like therapy, but with 1,000 people.
Yeah, I mean that's the draw. That's why I'm obsessed with comedy. That's why I still pursue, you know, new stand-up comedians. That's why I go to. I like listening to comedians because they make me feel like a human being, like less of a piece of shit. Depending on the comic, you get a different vibe.
Right.
It's cliche at this point, but comedy is all about being relatable, and if you're not relating to, some comedians are more relatable than others, but I mean that's really what it's all about. I feel comfort. I feel great comfort going to a comedy show because. A, laughing is nice, and B, it's nice to hear somebody talk about the things that, make me feel bad, and so I feel less bad.
Yes, yeah, it's comforting to realize we're not alone.
Yeah.
And then when the show's over, it's like, I want to be alone. Now that I know none of us want to be alone, leave me alone.
Exactly. Well, Brian, listen, thank you so much for chatting with me.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
And I mean it from what I said before. It's like you've always been really cool and, said good things about my comedy and stuff like that, and it's greatly appreciated.
Thank you. I appreciate you noticing.
No sweat.
Have a good second show, Brian Regan.
Thank you.
And there you have it. Thanks to Brian Regan for spending some time with me, and thanks to you guys for tuning into the Laughspin podcast. For Brian's current tour dates, like I said at the top of the show, check out brianregan.com. And if you haven't already subscribed to the Laughspin podcast, please do so on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. You could also go to tunein.com and subscribe to us there. If you'd like to get in touch with me, feel free to drop me a line at Dylan, D-Y-L-A-N, at laughspin.com. And be sure to follow us on the Twitter at laughspin.com and on Facebook and Tumblr. And of course, you should also be checking out laughspin.com every day, many times a day, for a constant stream of info on the world of comedy. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time on the Laughspin podcast. See ya.